Well, a video went viral yesterday of two men being kicked off a Delta flight, allegedly for speaking in Arabic. That was their claim. There's some problems with the story, though. First up, one of the men is a YouTube prankster known for these types of pranks designed to show how racist Americans are. Another problem, Delta and other passengers on the plane dispute the story vehemently. Here's part of the video that went viral. Watch.
We're getting kicked out because we spoke a different language. This is 2016. 2016. Look, Delta Airlines are kicking us out.
He went on to hector all the other passengers who didn't do anything wrong. Here's what they had to say after they were kicked off the flight.
This was not a prank. No prank at all. While we're in there and getting accused and people telling us, oh, they need to leave right now, me and him felt like we were terrorists. We were looking at each other like, laughing.
As we noted, that video went everywhere on the internet yesterday and was swallowed whole by virtually everyone in the press because it confirmed their suspicions that America, outside of Washington, New York, and LA, is racist and retrograde, but partly because CNN media critic Brian Stelter retweeted it without checking to see if it was true. Joining us now is Joe Concha. He's a media reporter at the Hill newspaper, and he's been following this since the beginning. So, Joe, I was a little confused by this because I'm familiar with who Brian Stelter is. I've known him since he was in college, actually. And he's the guy always jumping up and down about how other news organizations are irresponsible, and before you tweet something out, you ought to check and double-check. That's journalism, double-checking to make certain it's true. He seems like he had a hand in disseminating a hoax.
I'll have to correct you there, Tucker. Actually, the quote is on one of his shows a couple of weeks ago, "We need a new rule for the web. Triple check before you share." Now, if you do a 10-second Google search on who Adam Saleh is, this prankster that you just outlined, it would show that he does this sort of thing. He's a professional hoaxer, and he's done this with airlines before. So the source is already highly questionable. And when somebody like Brian Stelter sends out that sort of video, shares it without context as to who this person is, it gives the story legs, it gives it legitimacy, it helps it go viral more, and most importantly, it basically is hurting American businesses because trending on Twitter yesterday, Tucker, was boycott Delta. You had celebrities like Olivia Wilde saying, never fly this airline again. So, you know, I've never quoted Winston Churchill on a cable news show before. I'm about to do it now. He said that a lie can go halfway around the world before the truth even gets its pants on. So by Stelter sending this out, even if this story is debunked, it's impossible to put the toothpaste back in the tube. This has already hurt Delta, maybe irreparably.
Well, and by the way, I mean, this is, if you had just, as you noted, just check this guy for 1 second on Google, it really was like Tawana Brawley accusing you of assault. I mean, maybe it's true, but the source is so discredited that you would never retweet it. By the way, let's just put up, in case our viewers haven't seen it, this is a performance from Brian Stelter on fake news, one of his favorite topics. Here we go.
Fake news has become a plague on the web, and especially on social networks like Facebook. There are so many unreliable sources about this election, so we need a new rule for the web. Triple check before you share.
So this is the guy who told us that there were hundreds of swastikas being painted on buildings after Trump got elected. This is a guy who spent a year flacking for Hillary Clinton. I was convinced he wanted to be her press secretary. How does he get, and that's fine, he's got a political point of view, he's a progressive, he's an activist. How does he get to pose as a media critic on a purportedly nonpartisan news station?
Yeah, let me give you that quote first, Tucker, because I found it remarkable. He said about Trump supporters 6 days after Trump was elected, "We are seeing hundreds of swastikas, hundreds. Racist language, harassment, or in some cases, assault or bullying across the country." Now, this has been disproven completely. No one can verify anything around hundreds of swastikas or hundreds of people getting beaten around the country. Did Brian Stelter apologize? No. Did he retract? No. Was there any accountability from management? No. You have inmates running the asylum, and that's the problem here. So, you know, I say a New Year's resolution, Tucker. Basically, journalists that purport to be straight news reporters, like you had Kurt Eichenwald on last week, you proved him to be an advocate. Brian Stelter should do the same thing, change the name of his show on Sundays from Reliable Sources to Countdown with Brian Stelter and say our mission is to call out conservative media bias while taking on Trump at every turn, and people will respect the fact that he is being transparent.
That's exactly right. It wouldn't bother me. It's like NPR. If they would just stop pretending to be unbiased, I'd probably listen to it because at least it's honest. Last quick question. CNN has not responded. I mean, this seems like the irony of a guy who decries fake news disseminating fake news, but have they retracted his tweet? Have they apologized for it? Have they corrected the record at all?
You can go on Twitter right now to Brian Stelter's account, and you will see that tweet is still up, doing damage. People are still retweeting it out, and Stelter is standing by it, saying that he was only trying to point out the virality, how viral it was going. But again, he didn't provide any context around that tweet, and that does damage to Delta Airlines, and that's why fake news in this context is dangerous. It hurts American business, Tucker.
That's a good point. Thanks a lot, Joe. I appreciate it.